Good evening and salutations, my GH fans. So, in the conversation yesterday to the conversation today about Spencer, there is a growing problem that he is having with Ace and his role in his life. Listen, no one's going to sit there and really knock him for his love for his little brother. I get that he wants to sit there and try to step up as a male figure because, well, let's be honest, Nick is an absentee deadbeat dad, for lack of a better word, right? But he's taking it too far. And, Kevin today had to sit there and remind him, like Trina had to sit there and remind him yesterday, that, dude, that's not your son. At the end of the day, you can sit there and think what you want with Vesme, but you don't have any parental rights. And, when Spencer was like, listen, I'm tired of people sitting there telling me that, I'm like, don't you think that maybe you should probably listen? Your girl's sitting there telling you that. A therapist is sitting there telling you that, and you're basically sitting there saying, you know what, I'm gonna sit there and live in whatever reality I want to live in. You start spouting all these different reasons about why, Nicholas is bad, and he's a lot better, and he doesn't trust Esme, this, that, and the third. And in the beginning, he gets off in Esme's face talking about, oh, why didn't you sit there and tell me about the checkup with Ace? I'm like, because he's not your son, that's why. And she doesn't need to sit there and include you in everything that she does with her son. That's why. And I'm just like, bro, what are you doing? My whole thing is like, if granted, if his licensed therapist couldn't sit there and try to get some reality into him and a different perspective about how he moves moving forward, well, I don't know, maybe a breakout will. Because let's be honest, I feel like with Spencer's the type of person that needs something drastic to sit there and happen to sit there and shake him up, right? His conflict with Dex only ended after he put hands on him. Spencer's the type of person that you have to sit there and go to the extreme before he really gets it, before he really gets the gravity of the situation. And I feel like that's another thing with Ace and his role. Like, bro, slow your roll. I'm not gonna lie. I felt like that was kind of a scumbag tactic. What Cody was trying to do, with Sasha in order to get her to stay, by saying, "Oh yeah, by the way, I've been lying to everyone about Mac being my dad and stuff like that, and I just did it to try to get money and stuff." And it's like you tried to emotionally manipulate her into staying in a lot of ways. And he actually admitted that to Dante, and I'm like, wait, what? When you said, oh yeah, I tried to do that so this way I can get her to stay, I'm like, you could have just asked her to stay because you have feelings for her, not try to use emotional manipulation to try to get her to stay. You could have just did that. When you stop and think about it, if he's able to sit there and do something like that to get her to stay, what else is he willing to sit there and do? So they're talking about that. They're talking about, Dante, um, being put on leave because they got to sit there and go through an investigation and make sure that the shooting was justified and yada 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 yada. But let's be honest, they've been looking at him. They've been looking at him for a while, ever since that FBI agent came in there when they arrested Sonny. His ties to Sonny, the fact that he's his son and stuff like that. He was there at Sonny's hearing. I mean, A plus being a good son, but it's kind of a bad look at the same time. So you got that going on. I think it may have more to do with the fact that he's Sonny's son than just a simple. Okay, well, I don't know. I guess I could sit there and see it that way, but I won't. I'm just going to point it this way. I won't be too surprised if they don't give him a harder time because he's Sonny's son. This conversation with Laura and Charlotte went somewhat nowhere, right? I mean, the only thing that was kind of alarming what she said was, when she got that, as far as the house is concerned, it's like, yeah, she wanted a big house for her and, her dad. Like, like, did you forget that your dad is dating that brunette with the beautiful accent? Did you forget that? No, she didn't forget that. But in her mind, that's what she wants. That's the ending that she wants. It's just her and her dad. I noticed that when Laura brought that up as far as like a trigger, to try to sit there and see how she was going to react. Other than that, it didn't really go anywhere because, I mean, let's be honest, Charlotte doesn't really have a lot of friends. The one friend that she does have is a boy, you know. Laura's like, oh, well, I was a teenage girl once. I'm like, yeah, once. But you're not a teenage girl now. And hell, even her dad, like, that's her dad. That's not one of her homegirls. So the conversation didn't really go too far. And let's get into Anna and Valentin, right? Because at first she's just kind of there, being paranoid and everything like that, asking the guard, hey, did you see any suspicious people and this, that, and the third? Like, and then when Valentin gets there, Valentin's all like, listen, you have options, because she didn't want to go back to her room. And Valentin's like, well, you got options. You could sit there and be with your friends. You could be with Jordan. You could be with Mac. Um, she's sitting there talking about she doesn't want to bring danger to their door. She's the type of person that would sit there and want to go after the bad guys and shut them down. And I'm just like, so then why don't you do that then? Why don't you do that? I don't understand. I don't get that. I don't understand why do we have this version of Anna? Because I feel like the version of Anna like in the 90s, early 2000s would have actually went after the people that's talking. She would have sat there and start like trying to look into this stuff more, not just hanging out at the Metro Court just in the afternoon. I'm like, what are you doing? You're supposed to be a super spy, Miss James Bond, and you're just kind of sipping tea at the Metro Court. Like, what are we doing? You know? You said, oh, I'm not going after the bad guy, so why are we here for? I don't get that. I really don't understand. I feel like they clipped her wings a long time ago, and it's a shame. It's a shame. Now, this whole interview with Alexis and Gregory and Kim, they bring up the fact that he lied about apparently hanging out with somebody that's a special interest person or whatever, and I don't know, maybe taking bribes or something like that, or gifts as well, really a bribe or whatever. But they caught him in a lie, right? And then he started dropping the hammer, and the guy gets defensive. He's like, I should have knew this from you. Like when you're a lawyer, you're not using like cheap tactics and stuff like that, and really start getting on her about her career. And bottom line, Alexis is like, yo, listen, we can either do this. Okay, let me rephrase that because that pretty much he's like, yo, listen, either I can sit there and put out what I have right now, which is going to make you look bad. It's going to make it much more harder for you to sit there and be promoted, where you hanging out with people that you shouldn't be hanging out with, and pretty much taking gifts and things like that that you shouldn't be taking. Or you can sit there and relook at Drew's case and see if you can sit there and try to give him an early release or something. He gets mad. He storms off. She gets upset. She starts second guessing herself. And long story short, she gets a call from somebody basically saying that he's re-looking into the case. And I'm going to be honest, I'm actually pretty surprised because, I mean, I get it may not look good, but I'm pretty sure he could have explained that away. I don't think that they had the smoking gun that they thought that they had. They had a pattern, a bad pattern, but still a pattern at the very least. It was paper thin at best. Whatever sort of um, evidence or intimidating fact that they were going to use on him, and the fact that he folded like that, it clearly is for the plot, if nothing else. Um, I'm like, okay, sure, whatever. Um, Liz and Drew just catch up. That's pretty much about it. They talk about Charlotte and Aiden and stuff like that, and how it's good for Me not Charlotte hated. Charlotte and Jake, and how it's good for Jake because Jake has been ever since like Franco's death and stuff like that. He's been pretty isolated and stuff. So it's kind of good to get him out of his shell, out of his comfort zone, and get him some more confidence and stuff. Other than that, it really didn't go anywhere. And then Drew, got a word from the cop or whatever, or the guards, and just ended up taking him back to Penville. So he was wheeled out into the wheelchair and back to the cell that he goes. I'm going to be honest, I really don't understand. Just a couple of things. I don't understand what Diane sees in Robert. I really don't. I don't understand why she's sitting there giving this man another chance. She said something today that was, it didn't really make a lot of sense, right? She was like, every time I sit there and try to give you the benefit of the doubt and I want to sit there and try to be with you, something else comes up from your past or something. I'm just like, well, what are you talking about? What do you mean something else comes up from his past? That's not what it is. What winds up happening is every time you sit there and try to get close to him, either, the whole Holly thing or the whole Anna thing, you know? And she was like, I'm tired of, I'm tired of being treated like an afterthought. And I'm like, okay, so then break the pattern. You telling me that that's the only guy that's in Port Charles that you can sit there and be with? I mean, not once, but twice did this guy practically, um, in a lot of ways, kind of sit there and show his ass to you by being like, hey, I still want to be with Holly. Hey, I'm going to sit there and drop everything so this way I can be with Anna. It's like, why do you want to sit there and put yourself, why do you want to sit there and put up with that? But she gives him one final chance because, well, let's be honest, plot. Honestly, tell you the truth, there's no other reason why a woman would want to sit there and put herself through that much of a headache to be with him when she looks like that and is just a great all around woman, smart, beautiful, successful, and yet you want to sit there and try to give this guy another go for the third time? Really? I And I mean, and granted, in all honesty, maybe Laura wasn't trying to get Charlotte to lower her defenses by telling her about some stuff that she did back in the day and how it was hard for her growing up. To sit there and try to relate to her, but it's like it's not going to really do much because yeah, you can sit there and talk about your upbringing and how hard it was, and you can even sit there and maybe I don't know if she knows about the whole Jeff Weber thing or whatever by her killing that guy, but in all reality, she's not going to sit there and look at you like a peer. It's one thing if Jake would sit there and open up a wound or whatever, sit there and try to talk to her. She won't be on her guard so much. But it just, whatever she thought she was trying to do clearly didn't work. And in some ways, the whole conversation just felt like a giant waste of time. I'm very curious about what they're going to do with the Cody character. I say that because when he first came in, when he first came to Port Charles, there was a lot of people. He just pretty much kind of got bad reception, right? And then he was literally trying to get, with Britt, and he pretty much acted like a scumbag for the most part. But then, you know, they try to pair him up with Sasha. I don't know if she's leaving. I know she's, leaving for maternity leave or whatever, but I don't know if she's leaving, or if she's going to come back eventually. But then it's just like, all right, so then what do they do with Cody? You know? It's like the two women that they sat there and tried to pair him with. Now, technically, I mean, it wouldn't work. I mean, they could sit there and try to pair him with Maxie, but, because technically Maxie and Mac aren't blood related, so it's like, it's not like, well, they're not related by blood, but it would still just be weird. I don't know who they can pair Cody with. And I feel like since day one, in a lot of ways, um, they've been stumbling with that character, sit there and try to find him something to do. And they finally seemed like they had something going on with him and Sasha, but now she's leaving. So it's like, well, what do they do with the character at this point? You know? And then, of course, there's the fallout with Dante because the thing is, Dante knew for a while, so that's gonna affect his relationship with Mac. Um, I don't know. I don't know. I feel. Let me just double check because I always feel like I'm missing something. Yep, I feel like that's pretty much about it. I can't really think of anything else that else wound up happening. But as always, if I did miss anything, you know what to do. Come to the live stream tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. We'll sit there and talk about all the shows. YNRG. Let's try this again. General Hospital, Days of Our Lives, Poor Charles. Jesus Christ. General Hospital, Days of Our Lives, Young and the Restless, and Bold and the Beautiful. And I was really about to sit there and say Poor Charles. Oh, I still do miss that show. Anyway, with that being said, I'm going to go. I want to thank you for watching. Stay safe, and I'll see you in the next video.